Beyond the Mic with Sean Dillon.
We're joined on the Starline by author, speaker, and one of the most followed journalists in the White House press corps. He's reported from multiple countries, including Iraq, Chechnya, China, Guantanamo Bay, and many more. His book is Countdown to Dallas. We welcome Paul Brandus.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Absolutely great, Paul. Let's go beyond the mic. The extended title is Countdown to Dallas, the incredible coincidences, routines, and blind luck that brought JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald together.
Yes.
In your book, you talk about the bungling, lack of communication, and the CYA of the CIA, FBI back then. Could history be repeating itself with more bungling by multi-letter organizations?
Well, there's been about 50,000 pages of documents, CIA, FBI documents, that were released since the 50th anniversary of the assassination 10 years ago, but we still don't know everything. I mean, it's been 6 decades, Sean, and they're still sitting on some of the stuff. And that just gives fuel to the conspiracists who say, look, why is the government continuing to refuse to release these documents? What are they hiding? And maybe we'll never know. There's still thousands of things that are out there. 99% of the stuff has been released, but it's that remaining 1%. What is in there? So, yes, it's possible that they're still covering up.
Paul, the biggest conspiracy question theorists bring up is he had help. You disagree. Why?
Well, if you look at some of the principal claims that conspiracists make, and I respect them, first of all, because, look, after 6 decades, we still have all these unanswered questions and weird coincidences and stuff. So you can't rule anything out. So I just want to make that clear. But if you look at some of the principal reasons why they say that Oswald could not have acted alone, well, how did he get the job in the book depository is one of the big ones. And the reason for that is actually pretty simple. He drifted from job to job after he came back to America in 1962, the next year and a half, job to job. He was fired a couple of times, couldn't hold even the most menial jobs. He needed a job desperately in October 63. His wife just had a second baby and all that. He really needed employment. It turns out that his wife, Marina, who was estranged from him and living in Irving with a woman named Ruth Payne, the women in that neighborhood one morning were having kind of a coffee clutch, coffee get together, all the women in the neighborhood. And the subject of Lee's unemployment and joblessness came up. One of the women at that coffee said, well, my brother Wesley just got a job at the Texas School Book Depository in downtown Dallas. I'll bet they could use another man. Maybe you could call them. And Ruth Payne, who's living with Marina, called the guy who ran the depository and said, yes, we could use another man. Sent him down. I'll talk to him. So Lee went down the very next day, talked to the superintendent, a guy named Roy Truly, lied on his job application, which is in the book, said it was just out of the Marines, all these things that simply weren't true. So he got hired. But what a lot of conspiracists don't know is that the Texas School Book Depository actually had 2 locations in Dallas. And the superintendent, Roy Truly, nearly assigned Oswald to the other location, which was nowhere near Dealey Plaza. It was only until he looked at sort of the workflow and everything, he decided, well, I could probably put him to better use here. It's just more to do and that kind of thing. So for folks who wonder, well, it's fishy that Oswald got this job in the depository. That would mean that the women in this coffee clutch were involved, that the superintendent of the depository was involved, that his decision to assign Oswald to the Dealey Plaza location and the other one was fishy. All of these things together, it just doesn't, in my view, add up to a conspiracy. Just too many people, conspiracies run on keeping secrets. The more people you have, the more the easy it is for the secret to spill out. So in this case, in my view, it just doesn't make sense. And that's just one example.
It was just luck. Countdown to Dallas is the book. Paul Brandus is the author. He joins us for the Rocking Eight. Paul, all this is 8 random questions. Answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. There is no pressure. Paul, will America ever make a serious attempt to fix their crumbling infrastructure?
Well, it's a giant infrastructure bill in place now. The spending is beginning to trickle out, but bit by bit, it'll get fixed, but never all at once. It's a mess.
What's the first thing in your mind when you got your first White House press credential?
Well, I thought this was going to be really cool. It's really a privilege to be in the White House. Every president since George Washington has lived there, so to walk where Jefferson and Lincoln walked, and the Roosevelts and Reagan, and it's just to this day, it's still a thrill.
22 years ago, you witnessed 9/11 in New York City from your 35th floor window.
Yep.
How was your heart recovered from that day?
It took a long time. It took really about 10 years for me to get over it. And then all of a sudden, kind of a light switch went off. And I said, I can't continue to, focus on this. You got to move on. I think about it every 9/11, but I don't, it doesn't drag me down like it. I'll never forget it, but doesn't drag me down.
Your father-in-law was sent as part of a delegation to China by President Nixon. How has he impacted your life?
Well, he was really a remarkable man. He worked for Presidents Nixon and Ford. He was quite connected. Just the stories he had to tell, this kind of the ethics, the lessons that he taught me about dealing with powerful people and all of that just have stayed with me. He passed about 2 years ago, but his lessons live on.
Paul, who do you depend on the most?
I have a wife. I have a lovely 11-year-old daughter who I just adore. We depend on each other. We're a family. Maybe the corgi, the corgi that I walk, maybe she depends on me more than anybody. That's a great question.
After North by Northwest, what's the second best Alfred Hitchcock movie?
Oh, I totally agree. North by Northwest is the one. That's really tough. It could be Vertigo. It could be Strangers on a Train. Psycho is a classic. Rear Window, Dial M for Murder. That is really a tough one. I'd probably say Vertigo. What about you?
I would say Rear Window.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Favorite thing to barbecue?
Probably New York Strip.
What's the one thing you remember from prom?
From my prom was how terrible the clothes people wore. You look at those pictures now, and it's like, my God, that was what we wore? It was horrible.
His book is Countdown to Dallas, the incredible coincidences, routines, and blind luck that brought JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald together. Paul Brandus joins us for one big question. Paul, I've talked to Secret Service agent Clint Hill and gotten his memories from JFK's assassination. What's the one fact that still boggles you to this very day?
I think the main thing is that it boggles my mind. In fact, I think there's one reason why conspiracists think the way they do. And again, I agree. It's impossible to think that one guy who was really a nothing like Oswald, just in the blink of an eye, 6 seconds, could just wipe the most powerful man off the face of the earth. It was done so quickly, so casually, that one guy could do that so easily. I think that's what it just boggles the mind.
He loves grilling New York Strip, Hitchcock's North by Northwest, and wants everyone to forget the horrible clothes he wore at prom. The book is Countdown to Dallas. Author Paul Brandus, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
My pleasure, Sean. Thank you.
And that, my friends, is a Beyond the Mic shortcut. If you're enjoying these conversations, please check out another Beyond the Mic episode to find more actors, artists, and people you need to know. We'd also appreciate a like and subscribe on the Good Pods app.